is the wonderful Caroline Hirons. Now, Caroline does need no introduction, but she's just an amazing person, amazing for her industry, best-selling author, BABTAC founder, facialist, international aesthetician. I could go on and on all day, but I'll let Caroline introduce herself. So we are incredibly honoured and proud to invite Caroline Hirons to the stage.
Hi, how's it been?
Good. Fantastic.
Good. Having a heart attack, thanks very much. I know, you know, you can do this morning, you can do like body shop at home conferences where there's like, you know, 1,500 screaming people. Not me, just screaming in general. Well, like I give a shit what you lot think, so that's different. I thought, I'm going to treat it like I would if I was doing a training. I'll tell you who I am. Because Lizzie's like, oh, no, I'm like, no, Lizzie, they won't, oh no. Who I am and what I do, and then how I end up, I think, stood here. Deja, don't make eye contact with me, because you're going to make me go, don't. Oh, look at the brows, too much. And shout out to my mum, who said, make sure you wear a smart jacket, and now I'm schwitzing. I've got another menopausal. So I am Caroline Hirons. I have a blog called carolinehirons.com that I started in 2010. This is my 25th year in the industry. Oh, it would be. Come on, you. I started blogging in 2010. I was on Twitter first and the blog, and then Instagram, and then I think I kind of found my niche by sticking to skincare, because when I started blogging, everyone was doing a bit of everything. Everyone was doing makeup, and hi, Justin. Everyone was doing makeup and lips and nails, and the nail bloggers were huge. Does anyone remember like 2010 nail bloggers? It was massive. I was like, oh, I just like having a gel, I can't talk about it. And so I stuck to skincare, and then things just, I mean, it's not what you do intentionally, it just kind of happens, you know. And then I think because I was older, qualified, in the industry, didn't mind too much about annoying PRs, but really didn't want to just, you know, didn't want to just be like, this is crap. I just wanted to be a bit more strategic in sort of giving feedback, that I kind of became a place to go to for skincare reviews and that kind of thing. And then, long story short, I've been a member of BABTAC, I think, since I qualified, which is a long time ago. Nice little lovely letters. Yes, pay me later. And then we got to 2020 and the pandemic. And I, like many of you, well, who here has their own business? Well, congratulations for you still being here and sitting here, because I get goosebumps every time I think of it, because I could go because I'm very menopausal, but I was so enraged, and enraged is the right word, by the dismissive way that we were treated by this government, that I mean, there was a lot of bad language. Safe to say my most viewed Instagram live is me saying, because it was just, we started BABTAC the day that Boris announced that you could have a beard trim, but you couldn't still touch on your face. And so there is a clip that's become a meme of me putting a mask on, and saying, trim this, Boris, you fucking arsehole. And I spoke to my, sorry, there's no children here, is there? I mean, the ship has sailed, but, sorry. And so I texted Alex, who you'll see tonight, who I work with, and said, Al, we've got to do something for these people, because I had girlfriends texting me who had been in the industry for years, who were borrowing money from their aunt to pay their mortgage. And then it was a multitude of viral things. It was laughing at us in Parliament. I mean, my husband thought he'd seen me in a bad mood. How we have any crockery left? I was just, and Deja knows, because I was just like, what's that? I mean, it was like the Lord said, it's like being in church. The Lord said, take that menopause and tell them all to fuck it off. And so I started BABTAC. Actually, that's not true. We didn't even do BABTAC. We just said, let's just raise money. We were just like, let's just raise money, and we gave it to the Hair and Beauty charity. And then when it became clear that we needed to do more, and that there would be an ongoing need. It wasn't just a short-term fix. Then we started BABTAC. And I think, is that kind of why I'm stood here, Leslie? Like, I guess it's not just about the blog type thing. Okay. And yeah, so I am mainly here just to say well done and thank you to all of you guys for surviving, because God knows no one in government gave a shit. And to say thank you to BABTAC and the British Beauty Council and the work they do, you know, and the work that they did talking to government. There's a reason I'm not a politician. And that's kind of where I am. And when Leslie told me, there's no asking Leslie, as you know, when Leslie told me I was going to be here, I was like, well, what do you want me to, like, I mean, I can be like, you know, I'm not going to be inspirational and here's like a load of memes of, you know. But really, I thought the amount of questions that we got through, I just thought, I'd kind of go, here's why I'm here. If I can be of any use, I will be. I'll answer any question you've got. Stop me at any point, at any time, anywhere. Maybe not on stage, if Leslie might deck you. I don't mean here, I mean tonight. But I just want to, I said when we were coming out, I was like, I'm absolutely shitting my brick. And they're like, what are you talking about? And I went, well, because this morning and doing like, you know, body shop at home conference and things like that, when there's, like I said, but because I care about, I see you guys as my people, and I think there's always, don't be nice, because I'll go. Don't be nice, don't be like, because I'll go. It was the outrage, it was the audacity. How dare they? And that's what I've said pretty much for the 2 years since. Like, how dare they dismiss us so strongly, you know? And so many of my friends in the industry are mums who had the audacity to take maternity leave and therefore weren't eligible for any furlough. Everything like that. And poor Leslie, you know, was on the receiving end of many a message from me going, Leslie, where are they at with this? Because I'm going to go on Instagram and I'm going to go call you. She's like, okay, so we're meeting with them tomorrow, and I'll be like, oh, you do that, I'm just going to scream at people. So I'm not saying that I am by any stretch the most eloquent of keynote speakers, but the passion is there and the love for everything that you do is there. So thank you and well done for still being here, and you know, coming today, and don't even look at me and be sad, because I'm telling you, I'm a woman, I'm a donkey on the edge, as they say, correct? But there were tons of questions, and I didn't want to just sort of go through them randomly. So if you send a question and you want to get started, I'm happy to get started, because I didn't want to stand up here and go, I do this. It's just, I would rather just be here and go, what do you want? What do you need? In the best, nicest way. That sounds really bad. What do you want? That's what I say to my kids. You know, if there's anything that I can do, my team can do, anything we can do to be of service, anything you think BABTAC could be doing better, anything that you need, is why we're here, basically, and why I think I'm stood here. She's basically saying gives you money, but I think you're the kind of people we should be giving our money to. So, yeah, I mean,
Can I just say something, Leslie? Just on behalf of this room, Caroline, the support that you brought into the industry during that period were absolutely absurd. And I know you said it, but do you know what? I don't know many other, because as a beauty brand, we got absolutely inundated. And we kept going to Caroline, if anything, just to listen to her rant and get some of that air on.
Rant? How very dare you?
I'm saying pretty much every single person in this room, thank you, because what you did, you gave us a voice, and a voice that we've all been screaming for years. So, thank you.
Thanks. No, it's good. It's right. I've got control now because I'm too hot, so it's good. Now I'm distracted by being shitsing. It's okay. No, you're very welcome. I did it, and it was, you know, it was instinctual, because as much as I sort of, you know, I'll say I started on the shop floor, and then I went to Steiner. Shout out to Josephine Wackett. Anyone do Steiner training where you have to like, yeah, we split the tissue. Not even split the tissue. Girls, that'll do 2 sessions. You're like, pink waffle blankets. I always think if you haven't trained with pink waffle blankets, you haven't trained. Although I did have a bit of a cheat, because I was extremely pregnant when I eventually took my exam, and I couldn't fit behind the bed. So you know, you're all lined up like cattle, but they had to put me at the front of the room. So the bed's this way, and I'm like this, and every time the woman turned around, the examiner turned around, I'd go, lots of effleurage! And then she'd turn back around and be like, oh God, I'm so hot. So yeah, I did pass, but I'm not entirely sure it was warranted. But thank you for that, because I am extremely passionate about what all of you do. I haven't treated for a couple of years. I haven't been in clinic for a couple of years. It was a bit too intense, because I would be starting a facial and they would go, "Oh my God, I can't believe it's you." But you could just close your eyes and get acid in your face. But yeah, I mean, like I said, anything that you need that we can do, anything we're not doing you can do. Leslie, stop wiping your eyes, because I can't look at you. But I thought if I start the questions, because like I say, I'm not going to stand there and be like, "Oh, this is what I did," and da da da. Stop me anywhere. The woman stopped me in the loo earlier, it's absolutely fine. Just let me wash my hands first, please. I wrote down a question from Claire. Do you want to repeat, or shall I just read it out? Because it feels a bit like Claire said this.
I kind of think I remember. Well, it's interesting because a lot of the talks today have answered that.
Oh, great.
But because your background and obviously the years similar, seeing the changes along that period of time, it was your personal view as the way you see high school as a future.
So I think now that we have basically screamed at the government and said, we're here, what do you know, where is your support, what are you doing? To me, it's much more a case of telling people that you're there. And I see a lot of people on Instagram, so you know, when I was looking through, I'm not on the judging panel, by the way, that's all them, but I get a flick through of like, oh! And I look at people on Instagram and I see a lot of content, but not as much interaction. So if you're going to post and this is like kind of a by-the-way, you know, it's almost like advertising. Because I think people are coming back to the high street. You know, I know that, for example, Liberty, their sales are through the roof. And not on a like-for-like, because clearly last year and the year before, there's nothing to compare it to. But they're doing really well because people want the interaction and the human connection again. So I think it's much more a case of they're coming and you need to shout about what you do. And I do think one of the areas that we fall down as a predominantly female business, if I'm allowed to say that in 2022, sorry, but it's very clear that we're not very good at championing ourselves. And so when I did start shouting, and I was shouting, there was a lot of people who were, it was almost like, oh, and people almost worried about me, and I was like, don't worry about me, babe, I'm fine. I'm shouting on behalf of you, it makes it easy for me, I'm not shouting for me. You know, we flew through the lockdown because we just happened to be online and be established. And so that made it even worse for me. I had guilt. I was like, hang on, we're doing really well, but my friends aren't. And this can't stay, you know. Will we be in this situation again? God, I mean, you would entirely hope not, you know, but it just goes to show you can never tell. But I think in terms of the high street, you have to shout about what you do, you know, and not so much worried about what Deb's next door is doing, and just focus on, you know, like in your case, you've been established for how many years? 30-something, see? 30-something! And so, but that's what I mean, you know, it's like just putting out what you do, telling people we're brilliant at this, here's some customer testimonials, you know, using the tools that you have, because what you have now versus 30-something years ago is free social media to advertise. You know, you've got Instagram while it's still vaguely Instagram, you've got LinkedIn, you've got TikTok, I don't do LinkedIn, I'm sorry, I'm a menopausal grandmother. And so I think it's only going to get better. I'm going to face it couldn't be any worse. But I do think it's going to get better, because when we look at where the money came from with BABTAC, so with BABTAC we earned, we drew in £600,000 for the hair and beauty charity before we started BABTAC. And a lot of people are like, oh my God, that's so good that corporate took care of you. It wasn't corporate. It was your customers. It was everyone donating 5 and 10 quid. And it was just loads of 5 and 10 quid, the odd 50 quid, the odd token 1,000 quid from someone who, you know, is on the fit seat, and you're like, thanks. And so I think people are really invested, and if anything, it made people want to come back to the high street. Well, there's definitely the element of, okay, if we know that we're making that much money a year for the economy, and they're still not taking us seriously, what else do we have to do? would stop short of being arrested, which would be what should we do questions, or shall I? I mean, I've got a list, but I don't want to read them out to the persons here because it seems weird. But there is a mic, I'm told. Andrea's disappeared. I'll read a question out, it's fine. Okay, so I have, do you think it's better to stock several product ranges in my salon to allow me to offer more variety, or am I better just focusing on one brand? And also, I like it, do you think it's better to offer a range of treatments to provide more of a niche focus following? All right, Lewis. Police are at the door. Great. So close to the palace, sorry. It's a double-pronged approach because I don't think it's financially viable for everyone to offer more than one brand. But I do think there is something in specialising. If you know that you love facials, if you know that you love waxing, personally I haven't looked at a fanny since I did waxing. If you know that you're a brilliant manicurist and you're like consistently fully booked, then I do think there is something to be had for specialising. But in terms of ranges, it depends on what you can afford. Do I think it's sensible? Yes, of course. You know, if you can afford more than one brand, are the sort of, you know, salon brands still putting the pressure on to only stock them and putting exclusives in and all that sort of thing? Yes, I'm getting involved from T-shirt, yeah. So obviously, the more you have to offer, the wider your audience, but it depends on your financial capabilities. You know, you have to focus on something. If that's going to be a multi-branded approach, fine. If it's going to be that you have more than one speciality, then do that. But I don't know, how many of you specialised? Would you say you're... I'd be like, yes! What do you specialise in? See? Thanks. Assume the position. Oh, there you go. She specialises in pregnancy waxing, something you probably would see me for. Thank you, God. But that's my point. If you know that you are really good at something and the word spreads, then by all means keep it up. You know, if you're obviously a sort of a situation where you're a multi-roomed site and you have to offer everything else, then you know you're going to have to go with obviously what's in the next town next to you, what treatments are available. There's something to be said for keeping an eye on the competition, but not emulating them, because no one knows what everyone else is doing and whether or not everything is working behind the scenes. I think it depends entirely on. It's like the viral storm, isn't it? Location, location, experience, you know, regular returning customers, and your offering. Fanny waxing is very particular. I like it. Yes, Tish.
Just in the, do you have specialised brand or just carry one brand? You don't have to carry everything from one brand, so you can split it and carry hero products, which is what I did when I was broke.
They didn't let you do it when I was broke. You had to take the whole thing, that'd be £25,000, thank you. I'm like,
yeah. So you can hero, there are some distributors that will let you hero pick amongst different brands they carry. So you're kind of still spending the same money, but not within the same brand per se. So you could do that. I don't know who asked it, so I'm just kind of looking behind my
I just have a list.
But, okay, yeah, so you could do that, and that gives you more choice, because I found that I wasn't in a position years ago when I only carried one brand, and when I couldn't get my supplies in, well then I was stuck. So it does help to.
Don't put all your eggs in one brand. Okay, got the thumbs up from Deesh, we're good. What are your thoughts on online training? Now this is interesting because, face on this, with BABTAC, I don't know if you know, but we started a grant programme, which was essentially to, when we knew that the immediate need was almost taken care of because people were working again, we did the grant programme for people who were still struggling or still paying bills or wanted to further their education. And I would say, I mean, what would you say the percentage was there? So Deja and Leslie are trustees of BABTAC Trust. In terms of applicants for the grant, I would say we declined maybe 80–85%, if not more, because they weren't qualified enough. So the lack of qualifications is something that's quite, I mean, it was shocking for us. Every time we get it through, we go, oh, she looks like, and then you look and it's like, I did a course put through by this brand, and there's no no kind of national qualifications or anything. So online training, I think, had its place definitely during the pandemic, and for sure there's a place for it now, but there's nothing fixes hands-on, nothing replaces hands-on. So yes, do online training, but if you've only done, I mean, I would say if I was hiring for a clinic and you only did remote training, you wouldn't be top of the list. Okay, if you've got underpinning knowledge, there you go. Yeah, as an add-on for sure, but for basic training, it's not enough.
Is there any chance, do you think, of some regulatory something in the pipeline?
There is something in the pipeline, isn't there, Leslie Blair?
Yeah.
There is something in the pipeline. Yeah. I mean, the fact that if I wanted to, I could totally monopolise my following and start doing injections is horrific. I mean, I'm a trained makeup artist. You don't want me to do your smoky eye, never mind inject your lips. You know, I mean, I am the epitome of someone who's specialised. I was like, oh, skincare, that's me, that's my bag. And I see makeup and go, oh, that looks lovely, I couldn't do that. And I think, well, you could do it, you just thought about it, I don't want to think about it. But the fact that there's nothing to stop me going, oh, give you a bit of Botox, Mum. No! Horrific! But the amount of people we've had who say, I do injections and I did a 3-day course, and we're like,
Online.
in essence, no online for that.
Can I just ask, I think it's a sort of a circumstantial thing. Obviously, with COVID, it wasn't helped, but it's in lots of sectors. It's not just the beauty industry. A real issue with getting qualified, quality staff on the recruitment front.
About recruitment. Shall I use those 2 words? Work ethic. Oh, you can see the groan.
Yeah.
God, you finish. Was that a question or just a blanket statement that we can all agree with?
What would you suggest we could do to try and get...
Okay, so the thing for me is, so we went from 2 to 4 staff, we now have like 25 members of my team. We went from an office that was the size of that corner where that stool is to now having 3 floors and a few thousand square feet, whatever. And it's only just now that I've stopped hiring outside of I call it my comfort zone. You know when you go, I'm going to call so-and-so, she knows so-and-so, and she'll know so-and-so. It's when you have to go through an agency and you're like, mother of God, who raised you? Sorry, now I am sounding like a menopausal grandmother, but I don't care. There is a certain, another 3 words of sense of entitlement. It's difficult. The thing to remember is it's your business. No one is ever going to care about it as much as you do. So once you have that in your head, then it's easier to make more strategical decisions. You know, if someone is not, it's one thing to expect your staff to want to be part of it and to embrace what you're doing, but they're never going to care about it as much as you if your name is on the check. You know, that's just standard. But there are things you can do. Now, would I cater to their every whim? No, but if they blow me away in an interview, yes. So, you know, my brand manager is 21, 22. She applied for a job, we advertised for a social, I can't remember what it was, like social media content manager, something like that, coordinator, it wasn't a managerial job at all. And she applied, but it was the first it was the first CV that we got through, and she had done it in the style of my book. Exactly. And the last page was a picture of her mum, and it said, no one cares, work harder. And then her mum's name. and then Al, who you'll see tonight, texted me and she went, I know you didn't want to see any of this, but I'm sending you this because whatever we do, and I was like, oh my God, Al, we have to give her a job. So we took the job and we split it into 2. And they've both completely just run through the ranks, and they're both in management now, and they're like 21, 22. So that, you know, you'll have with that, you'll have your challenge that they don't have any experience of managing people, but you can take them through that. But I just think if you see initiative, grab it by the bollocks and don't let go. And I would say ovaries, that's a bit intense, a bit intrusive. Just grab it by something and don't let go, because it's becoming more and more. I like to think if you are obsessive about beauty, and you know, when I started in the beauty industry, I just wanted to work in the beauty industry. I was just like, I love this, I love talking to people about their skin, I love this, I work for Space NK, you know. And I would get excited when people would go, can you just help me with, and I'd be like, yes! And so I look for similar, and if people are on an interview, I mean, I don't even do the interviews now, I'm like, I can't. I would just be throwing myself off the bridge, I can't. So the team do it, and then I sort of have a look at, afterwards. But it's not easy. There is a certain, the nodding heads doing, making me laugh. There's a certain air in this sort of, a certain generation of, and I'm sure some of the people here are in that generation, you're clearly not what I'm talking about, please don't come and kill me afterwards. But it is difficult. I would look for the passion, because you can always fix the odd glitch where they're like maybe not very personable on the phone or an email. You can't fix passion. You either have it or you don't. So I didn't go to uni, my MD didn't go to uni, but I can run rings around anyone who did a business degree, because I say, if I mention the words P&L, they go, oh, yeah, so when we were at uni, I'm like, what was it, a gap year, because did you check out? So I have my own bias, and I'm aware of it, I have my own bias. If people want an extra 20 grand a year because they did a degree in history, how was Henry VIII going to help you wax the money? Sorry, no. But yeah, I mean, we've been through recruitment agencies the last few, and it's actually an easier process, because you can just go, no, and also absolutely not. And then when you occasionally find gold, and I would say if you find gold, do what you can to pay for it and keep it. Because if you hire on just results on a search or just qualifications, the person could be up and be like a flat pancake. And I would rather have someone who's just done a level 2, but is eating beauty and is obsessed, and I would pay for them to do their level 3 and 4.
Yes.
Good, I'm glad that you agreed with me. I'm slightly less intimidated. Am I going for the list or any questions? I'm happy to throw it to the room. You're shy, I'm standing up here. Okay, so, I'm not going to answer anything about me. Is JVN as lovely off screen as he seems? Yes. If you don't know who that is, let it go, it's fine, we'll talk about it later. What treatment types do you think will see the most growth over the next few years? See, this is interesting to me, because I think it depends on you. I think it depends on you and what you generate and what you get a buzz around and what you create. It's not down to people like me. I'm treated for a couple of years, so I'm behind in terms of, sometimes I hear something and I think, oh, what's that? And I'll probably message Deja or message Leslie and be like, what's this? And they'll go, oh, okay, fine, I get it. So I think it's down to you to generate the buzz. If you know that something works and you get the results, talk about it on social media. Talk about it to your customers. Talk about it to your regulars. Let's see if the word spreads. But it's not going to be dictated to by an influencer. It's going to be down to you. You have to push out what you think really works. Because unlike Boris Johnson and his cabinet arseholes, I trust you implicitly. If you say it works, I'm there. If you say it doesn't work, I'm going to listen to you as to why. I rely on you to feed me the info. So whatever is going to be next, I will be led by you, because you're the experts. And I think that's where we as an industry perhaps fall down, because we are so used to not shouting about ourselves, to not saying, I do fanny waxing for pregnant women, I'm the best at it. Yeah. You don't have to just do fanny, but you see my point. So I think it's entirely, this is kind of like over to you now. Like, tell me, and I'm happy to be the big gobby woman on Instagram. I am. Something as my husband said, who would have thought that being gobby and opinionated would be a career? And I'm like, how very dare you, I'm qualified. Yeah, whatever. Supportive, lovely. But, from a non-practicing point of view, I would say that you have to look at, there's certainly a desire for laser. There's a desire for anything that takes you just to the edge before Botox and filler. Because we are still at the sort of thinking that Botox and filler is something that, oh, I can't do that, it's too much. Oh no, I'll age gracefully. And I'm like, oh, well, you want to spend £1,000 on 3 creams. Just have some Botox and calm down. So for those that, don't want to go that far, by all means, laser's not going anywhere. think it would be nice to see an end to certain treatments that are just like 1972 rang once its treatment back. But you know, in all seriousness, yes, anything that you say is brilliant. I'm listening. I am not here to tell you. You are the experts. Someone please ask me a question so I don't have to interrupt. I'm Mitchell.
Thank you, Tara. It's a question I'm thinking about that you mentioned earlier on. You said about the resurgence of the retail sales and that in places like Liberty's, for example, in beauty sales. I'd be very interested to know how that equated to like salons, spas on the high street and things like that, because that's a very different type of market.
Totally different.
And as you know, I'm from a hair background primarily, and consequently I'd be very interested to know, perhaps the people in the audience might be able to help me with this, as to how that's actually manifesting in the high street, as opposed to in Liberty's or Selfridges or Harrods or wherever else.
Is it translating? Are you having a good period?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Good.
I like a nodding head. What's doing really well versus what isn't really flying post pandemic?
Retail's doing great, facials are doing great. Sorry, retail and facials, yeah, fully booked, and just clients asking.
Doesn't that make you want to go, yes?
Yes!
So what's been the main differences since the pandemic in terms of trading?
I think that clients, well, they want to spend money with you, maybe because we had a hard time, maybe because we're a bit more knowledgeable from the courses loyalty,
knowledge.
But yes.
Yeah.
Well-being really does count for a lot.
Yeah.
Even if people want, you know, they want that space. That
feeling good after the pandemic, no doubt.
Feel good.
And the connection.
And realising they can't afford
Yeah.
I remember saying to my
And
husband.
they missed us.
And they missed us, she said.
They missed you exactly. I was going to say, I remember saying to my husband, I just want someone to touch me. And I was like, you. Oh, there's nothing new there. You know, I do think it's a mixture of loyalty, like you say, loving that we can get out and talk to people again. I mean, even this, last year it was on Zoom, wasn't it?
And also that, you know, pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, clients have realized the importance of hygienic sounds, so more professional sounds.
That was me raging on it. I was like, we already wear masks, you muppets! That was me on quiet. But yeah, completely. I remember just basically, just furious that it was, you can trim a beard, but you still have to wear a mask. And I was like,
Stand behind them.
how are you going to stand behind, trim the beard through mask? Derek?
Boris can do it.
Boris, yeah, we've seen his hair.
But the huge confusion surrounding guidance through the whole pandemic was atrocious.
Yeah.
And also the media got it wrong, hugely wrong. Local media got it wrong. Certainly national did, for hair and for beauty.
Yeah.
So it's no surprise that the confusion was out there and the problems that actually gave people like myself, Leslie, that trying to run organisations to support members. So I think we'd all agree with that. It was a mess.
Yeah, well, hopefully now that they know they've messed with us, they won't try it again. I mean, you hope. Oh, consistency, don't be ridiculous. Now you're going too far. Wait, Scotland's doing what? Yeah. No, I think it's, I just hope that it's a fruitful time for everyone now. And like you say, everything's on the increase, everyone's getting bookings, people are coming back into salon, and I think a lot of people would realise, they would know, like you were saying, that it's always been a sterile environment. It always has been,
And government is far more engaging now than it was, certainly in the past 12 months. It's not anywhere near good enough, but they are more engaged.
Well, that's down to, BABTAC and British Beauty Council and the odd random menopausal grandmother on Instagram. Whoever that is, I am no clue.
I just wanted to ask if you notice that you're spending more time with clients now, post-pandemic, than pre-pandemic. So a half an hour session, it has to take you 45 minutes because you spend the first 15 minutes discussing well-being. I don't know if you find that something you found as similarity in your...
Ladies and gents? More time with people or
Yeah,
they go
more
out?
time.
More time.
They're expecting more time as well.
Yeah. It's managing it, isn't it? It's managing it between.
And also,
I want to spend time with
you have
you,
more questions
but I can't do it all day.
as well. You've got to ask more questions.
Yeah.
Hi, so about the sustainability seminar earlier, I know you said perhaps using that voice to push for a green grant. How can we all support BABTAC and the Beauty Council for getting the government to hear that and maybe introducing a costly transfer system so that we can fulfill our sustainability promise as well instead of the industry lagging behind?
See, I have a controversial view. You'll be astounded to know here. I don't think we are lagging behind. I really don't. You know, I went to a trade show in Paris last month. The beauty industry is responsible for 0.7% of plastic waste. 0.7%. It's agriculture, manufacturing and food. And then gaming. Plastic cases, everything's plastic, everything. It's not us. So, and I don't say that dismissively, obviously you do what you can do, but I do, again, I feel like I don't want to get on my high horse. I sense that's why you've stuck me through anyway. But I do feel like it's like something that is female focused, and so the onus is on us to fix it. Oh, don't forget to say that. I could just see the white, and I'm like, just for the effect. There's a gif. You know, 0.7%, but it's you're made to feel like the minute you use a shower gel, you should be using bar soap. You don't want to use bar soap. It gets my kids' pubes in it. I've got 3 boys. No, I want my lovely, smelly shower gel, thank you. Sorry. Yeah. Mother of boys. God. Mother of girls. So, but I'm not dismissing what you're saying. Obviously, everyone wants to do the best they can. But for me, my main focus would be getting it all fully up and running and flying with bookings before I worry about sustainability. And I'm sorry, that might not be the politically correct thing to say, but we try politically correct, and regret God as they were laughing at us in government.
But as brands, perhaps
Yeah.
the ones not taking bookings,
Yeah.
have to meet those targets and not be the ones that have to go for the cheaper plastic alternatives.
Yeah.
Again, we are probably an industry that doesn't have such high turnover as those food manufacturing companies.
Yeah.
Is there any chance that we can do something to, even just to get the conversation going?
See, it's difficult because if you look at things like PCR, PCR is not great for a lot of ingredients. And it's not good for, especially in your environment, it's not great for clinical product. So as much as everyone goes on about PCR and, using glass costs more to make, it costs more to ship. It's not an easy conversation to have. The point is that you're having the conversation, and you're doing what you can. If you look at recycling, when people say we're completely recyclable, and it's too easy, it's almost too easy for people like me and Deja and Alison to go online and go, okay, you say you're 100% recyclable, but if I screw this, the spring is not, the pump is not recyclable. Oh no, I mean without the pump. So it's a mixture of doing what you can without making yourself go bankrupt in the process, and taking responsibility but not taking it on the weight of your shoulders to fix the whole plastic issue. Because as much as you would think, you look at beauty and you just see plastic, but it's not. It's not our, I know it sounds, again, you want to do as much as you can, but it's not all on our shoulders.
So it's such an expensive cost to try and meet that, so it's looking at other ways that maybe we could spread that cost or share.
Are you a big company or a small company?
Small company. And we try and do everything we can to be environmental, and again, if we've got to look at cost versus benefit. So if there's some sort of way that we can bring in incentives, like they do with apprenticeships, that the bigger, higher turnover companies cover the cost of the smaller companies, it meets everyone's CSR.
But they're not going to do it.
Tick the boxes.
And they're not going to do it because they have shareholders and they don't care about you. I say that with love. If they cared about you, we wouldn't be in the position we were in. They don't care. The big people that you see listed in the Sunday Times, it's all about money and bottom line and shareholders. That's why they sell in China, that's why they've sold in China for years, before they stopped animal testing. It's on you, they don't care. And so that's why I'm very much like, take care of you, let the focus be on them. I don't see the big companies screaming about refillables. I don't see them screaming about recycling. Body Shop, yes. The ones you would expect. Neil's Yard, yes. You know, what are the others doing? You know, it's admirable that you're saying this, you know, as a small business, and I have the same issue coming up. But it's, you know, if you look at the volumes, whose responsibility is it? That's why they don't like it. That's right.
I was just going to say, so one of the things that infuriates us about industry is that for a period of time there was absolute, like, no service. It was always very much in get in, get out, or there was no using coffees anymore. There were no nice, you know, the things that we pay that little extra for facials. So as a friend, we kind of brought together a professionalism and etiquette course to a shelf. Now we have noticed that you guys are going back to doing something or recruiting something different. Is that something that we're looking at going forward? Because we think, as advocates of professionalism and etiquette in the industry, there's a huge drive for it. I know Leslie today credited the our course, and you'll know it flies out, and it's a course that itself, it does sell itself, doesn't it? So what would be really good is to have somebody like yourself that is very much representing our industry.
Sorry.
But they were pushing that etiquette and professionalism, because it's been washed out with an influx of people joining the industry and not necessarily getting the right training or the normal kind of style of training. We have lost that certain element of professionalism. And we still want it.
I always categorise it as they're the ones chasing the money. People who are chasing the money and not chasing the service, and they don't love the industry. You know, if you don't love it, like I say, if you're not eating it, literally, then you wouldn't be on my list of hires, you wouldn't be on a clinic or a spa I wanted to visit. But yeah, there is certainly an element of needing some kind of finishing school. I mean, you know, I don't want to say that everyone, I mean you guys, I just mean, you know, you see almost like a checklist of, well, are you qualified? Let me save you from spending a fortune with this, you know, XYZ brand who says that when you've done it, you'll be a fully qualified facialist, because you probably won't. You know, I mean, I got pushback from some facialists earlier in the year saying, you know, why do I ask, when I'm on this morning, for example, why do I have to send people to a GP? Why don't I say go and see a facialist? Half the time is because the minute on there's different TV rules, as you know, Alison will know, the minute you say something that's even vaguely, if they use the word acne, eczema, rosacea, it's medical. I have to say doctor. I'm just not allowed to. It's not me not wanting to send people your way, it's that ITV would just nick it, like just cut it, like you're done, get off. So it's, there is something to be said for extending, like further training. I don't think we're going to get into it. I think it's something that we've looked at in terms of when we're looking at who we would give grants to and things like that.
So important. It's completely unbelievable, isn't it? And it's more so for the unaccredited courses that are out there that are training girls in 2 hours online.
It's the unaccredited courses that are the biggest problem. Yeah. If you actually look at your regulated education frameworks, all of what you've just said is still in there. Professional behaviours, knowledge, skills. So it's
ensuring these people.
Well, that's another conversation.
Oh, don't even speak to her afterwards. Don't let Leslie go in before she's had a champagne. It's a common and very, very loud source of frustration.
And we've had more calls with government, and they've said, first, it's not regulation, it's commercial interest today.
They don't care, it's
and
money.
they will insure anything, so it's numbers. So they will insure it if there's hybrid scope, whatever, they're going to do it. And they actually say it, and that's what's really amazing. They don't care, because it is just money spent. They're not organisations. We do it because we want to make the industry better, so we're not in it for the commercial gain. They are, they've got shareholders.
You want to build the educate courses, so we really well, like, we absolutely support them to death. But one of the things we found, we literally went over, was like getting all the manuals from all the colleges, BTC, TVC, and some of the content in the
Can we just discuss, did anyone see my post about the Sedesco manual?
No.
So, they pulled it. So Sedesco released their manual, and I was like, right. I was updating the book, and I was like, I'm going to get really up to date. And it turned out it was like it was written in 1956. Every single skin complaint was shown on white skin. There you go, 15-year-old to the front.
I mean, obviously.
Reference on it, but there was a lot of stuff in there that nowhere the lie was in my manuals when I trained 19 years ago.
And some of them are, yes, some of the qualifications have been written, oh my God, but what's really exciting is obviously the work that the likes of Diane and the steering groups, the occupational training group, the new occupational standards, the national occupational, the occupational maps, those sorts of things. Things are moving, and things are moving really at a pace.
Well, I do think that's where, as you know, that's where I thought, oh, I could be useful.
Absolutely.
I was like, hang on, I got the book and I was like, this cost me £75.
Oh.
And that's on Amazon, so God knows what it costs without, you know, £75. Not the only skin condition shown on a dark skin was vitiligo. Shocking. Everything was shown on a white skin. Then it said, the only, I swear to God, you're sitting somewhere, you're going, I cannot believe I'm actually looking at this. I can't believe I paid for it, never mind I'm looking at it. The only reference to a darker skin said, and I quote, Mediterranean and Asian skins may have larger pores. But you know, you go, I'm sorry, say what now? So I took to Insta with a load of stories, tagged them, put it on the, I went for it. And then tagged them and I just said, I'm mortified that you're represented, you're supposed to be the gold standard of our industry. Sorry if there's anyone who can test that. You're in the wrong room. But I was like, I'm mortified that you're supposed to be the, you know, when I trained, it was like, oh, Mr. Desco, fancy. And this is appalling. I did better than this 20 years ago when I was doing my basic SIBTAC, you know? And then they pulled the book, which did make me actually have a heart attack. I was like, I didn't get my money back, no, I know, but I kept it. I didn't want it. I wanted to keep it as like a souvenir of what trash it was.
But it is important that as brands, as bodies, that we all have a say in these, because this is our industry.
But they're not going to listen unless you have a following, and that's just a sad truth of it, you know?
If you do, and we want you to have a voice, everything that is written, the national occupational standards, apprenticeship standards, qualifications before they become a qualifications, that's the standards before the big awarding organisations take them and make them into a qualification. They go to public consultation. So please don't be a silent objector. Please
Jess, if there's anything you take away from this, I know it's not your average keynote speak where someone goes, and here's many slides, what I've done. It's just not what I do, but if you take anything away from it, please use your voice. Because if I had sat quietly, BABTAC wouldn't exist. We wouldn't have raised nearly £800,000 for our industry, you know? There wouldn't be a video of me online calling Boris Johnson a fucking arsehole. But you have to use your voice, and I do think it's another thing, just wedge into and I don't want to start the whole, like, it's not about feminism and patriarchy, but it is a little bit when you consider the reason we were laughed at, the reason that betting shops opened before beauty, pubs, betting. We've always been sterile, we've always worn masks. No one had to go out and place an order for a face mask or gloves. No one did. I can't, don't, because I can still chuck a glass. There's a reason it happened in lockdown and I was locked down, because I was just like, oh, poor husband, I was just like, have you seen the news? But you have to use your voice. We have to stop being worried about being, you know, I mean, I joke about it, but I don't consider it ranting. I consider it me using my voice. I'm experienced, I'm qualified, I've been in the industry 25 years. Don't you dare fucking tell my people that they're not worthy of money. Don't you dare come to my industry and say, oh yeah, we'll have a trim and then laugh in Parliament. How dare you, you know? But that comes because we don't use our voice.
I agree, but they ignore you as well. Because William Ragg, who we're talking about, he's my local MP. I went, yeah. I went banging on the door. Seriously, literally. Would not see me.
Is that one you talked about stuff up very much?
Yeah, wrongly.
Yeah.
Mine, I live in the next one. But yeah.
And what party is he in? Shocking. I'm trying to be shocked. But that's the thing, and I think that's where you have to, you know, mobilise and utilise and use people like me, use people like Deej, use people like Alison, get us to, because we will always be your champions. Always. You know, the fact that you're all sitting here is a testament to the fact that you got through it, you know? So well done all of you, for sure. Oh, here's Andrea with the get off. Thank you very much. I'm sorry if it was just completely random, but you know, I mean, they knew what they were getting. There was going to be the F-bomb, there was going to be...
And I think from all of us, thank you to Caroline for being a voice for our industry as well, and using our platform and putting her money where her mouth is. A lot of you might know that Caroline is a lot of
I don't get a choice to do that. I say no to
to be fair, DJ Knight doesn't get a choice either.
That's fair. To be fair, when I was like, okay, I'm going to start this charity. We ended up being a trust. I'm going to start a charity, and I need you to be on the trustee. She's like, what does it entail? It doesn't matter. I just need you to do it. Okay, we're in.
So no, thank you, and thank you all for coming today. I hope that you've learned lots. I definitely have. It's been amazing, and hopefully a lot of you are staying on for this evening. Those who aren't, and thank you for supporting BABTAC. And again, thank you to Caroline.
Thanks for having me.